With fires burning all around the world, across the United States, but especially we've seen some pretty crazy stuff coming out of the UK. I wanted to bring on somebody who grew up in the UK, especially in London, to talk about kind of what's going on over there, what we can do about things. A lot of craziness in the market as well. Jonathan here from Genesis Gold Group. We talked together a good bit, and he was just sharing with me some of the things that are going on over there. Jonathan, welcome to the channel. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good. Thank you for having me back on. I appreciate it.
And so we've seen some crazy stuff coming out of the UK in the last couple of days. What are you hearing?
Wow, it's definitely not the UK I grew up in, that's for sure. I grew up under Margaret Thatcher and the Ronald Reagan years, and they were great years for Great Britain and the European Union as a nation. Today, open borders, migrants have kind of overrun London. I have to be honest with you. I'm not saying all migrants are bad, but there's a right way of coming into a country. It's not coming in through dinghies and through the shores and just walking up on land and then draining the resources. But the divide has gotten so big that riots have started, and if you're reading the news headlines, people are getting stabbed and youths are running around with machetes, and it's dangerous. You know, my mother and father, they live in a gated community in flats, which is equivalent to apartments over here, and they're scared. And in fact, even one of the cities I grew up in, there was a lockdown just the other day because it was like a bunch of Middle East migrants were running around with Middle Eastern flags and attacking Caucasians. And it just blows my mind. And it's more than anything, it's scary. People I know who live there, you know, they're scared to go outside, and times have really changed. And gosh, I don't know what's going to happen moving forward, but it's just not the same great country that I was once born in and grew up in.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are talking about the two-tier justice system where there's two types of law. There's some people being judged at this level and other people being judged at a different level.
Yeah, well, what they want to bring in is Sharia law, Sharia law. So I think the legal system in the UK is very different to the US in the sense that you don't really have policemen on the ground, so to speak. What you have in England is security cameras. So crimes actually are committed on a daily event, and then they go after these criminals, even if they're wearing, I asked my father about this, even if they're wearing face masks, I said, how do they catch them? And the technology is so good that they can just get their eyes, and the next thing you know, they're knocking on people's doors and they're arresting them. They're arresting them on the left, they're arresting them on the right. So even if it's far right extremism or even far left liberal people, they're both at fault. And there's definitely a lack of peace and a lack of kind of common sense that's happening in the UK right now. And it's a dangerous place to be, living in.
Yeah, it's terrifying. I mean, honestly, I've been kind of scared because I was actually hoping to go to Scotland next month in September, and I've scrapped that plan because I've posted things on my channel that apparently would get me arrested just for posting images from the riots or protests and saying anything that the government doesn't like about that.
Yeah. Now, my wife is actually, don't know if you noticed, but my wife is Scottish, so is my mother-in-law. And the same with my wife. She's posted, clips of the riots. And then her, mother was saying, well, gosh, you got to be careful because you go back to Scotland now, you can get arrested just for all the censorship that's going on. So the free speech really isn't free right now. And there's definitely cracks in the moral fiber of society, and people are concerned with what's happening over there. And you're absolutely right. You post something, they're hacking doors down, pulling people out of their homes and arresting these people.
Yeah, and what's happening over there is happening now in Canada, and what's happening in Canada is what's soon coming here to the United States too.
Yeah, it's definitely scary, and that's why you just make sure you and your family are keeping safe and you're aware of your surroundings. And I do miss London, but if I moved ever back to England or if I visit, it wouldn't be in central London. It would have to be more in the farmland, more in the countryside, where it's definitely a lot safer and quieter, and they're not dealing with so many political issues as we're currently dealing with over there.
Yeah, with all the with all the oversight, censorship, and all that kind of stuff like that, it really reiterates how important it is not to be using like digital banking. We've seen Canada shut down people's bank accounts. And as we keep saying, you know, like if you can't hold it, it's not yours, right? And that's why I know you're a big proponent of that. It's like you need to be able to hold it, right?
Yeah, you know, talk about holding it. You know, you're talking about I have it always on my desk, precious metals. So, you know, obviously growing up in London, I was very fortunate to work with some of the biggest, you know, gold brokerage companies out there, and you know that's where I found my love for the yellow metal and just understanding a role assets play when you talk about holding something physical. So that was instilled into me at a very early age. And, you know, with what's happening in the world today, there's a lot of instability. It doesn't just have to be in Europe. Look at here domestically. You look at trade deficits, we're past $35 trillion. So the more instability we have, the more of an insurance policy is very important. And you're right, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So that's why I've always had a strong belief system in what hard assets really provide.
And we need an insurance policy today, right? I mean, just last week we saw the stock market drop like a rock, right?
Very scary. So I think you had a show where you was kind of calling what was about to happen. You know, be prepared. What's going to be happening? It could be a rocky day, and it's very telling that when you have one of the most influential people on the markets, Warren Buffett, you know, sell all his stocks, sell billions of dollars of Apple, billions of dollars of Bank of America, get out of stocks, sitting in cash, and then the following week the market crashes. And you currently have the Oracle holding more cash than our own Federal Reserve. So I think there's going to be a lot more pain on the horizon. And it's just about understanding, you know, why people like Warren Buffett are making these moves, what these other top economists are saying, and really kind of being plugged in and understanding on what's happening next. And that's something I've always been a proponent for, because we don't obviously have a crystal ball. Nobody does. But if somebody did, it's Warren Buffett, Steve, because boy, he seems to call it every single time. But I think there's some, you know, red flags that he's kind of trying to tell the general public that people should be waking up and listening. And I'm very concerned about, you know, how the US dollar is reacting, what's happening to these financial markets, and what's going to happen next, especially if you invest in the financial markets, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, even real estate. I think there's a lot of question marks and a lot of uncertainty surrounding those markets currently.
Yeah, I mean, it was Friday. It was Friday morning before the market opened. We put out a video here warning people, hey, we had a little bit of a drop Thursday, but it looks like this is going to get a lot worse. And then Friday it dropped. Monday it dropped a lot, and then Tuesday it dropped again. And just and the reason why I do that is not like to just like help people make money, like go out there and short the market or something like that. I know how many people in the audience have IRAs, have 401ks. They have their life savings in a retirement account. And most of people on this in the audience have their money invested in the stock market. And so that's my heart is, and as the market was dropping, my heart went out to the people in our audience, especially who are seeing their portfolio, seeing their retirement, their hard work evaporating on the computer screen. And that's why I talk to people so much about gold IRAs, silver IRAs with your stuff is to get people into something safe. If you're retiring, your money should be somewhere safe. That's my opinion on things, at least.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. And I keep saying things like debt does matter, and they keep throwing out the R word, like a recession. You know, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, and we're seeing, you know, big corporate companies, you know, filing bankruptcy and shutting down plants in the Midwest, and people that have worked for companies for generations being made redundant. And these are all signs that there is no soft landing. And, you know, a lot of the times you may be able to call the market and I may be able to see what's happening. What I found out over the past few years, Steve, is that people are busy, they're working. So they're not tuned in, and all of a sudden they turn on the television, the market's dropped 1,000 points and they're having kittens and heart palpitations because they're thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to my 401k? So it's very disturbing to retail investors because sometimes they're the last to know about this. So it's very important to understand to have a shield wall around your finances if you haven't done so already, and add tangible assets like gold and silver, which have historically done very well when, you know, stock markets and other equity assets have suffered.
Yeah, stock markets hate one thing beyond anything else, and that is uncertainty. And
Yeah.
what do we have today with the election? What, 90 days out? What do you think about that? How's that going to impact things?
Wow, I get asked this question every single day, and it's a tough call. You know, you got, you know, Kamala kind of, you know, gathering support behind her, and that's a scary thought. With her behind the wheel, excuse me, and whoever gets into office, they're inheriting a lot of problems. They're inheriting $35 trillion in debt. They're really fighting off against instability, whether it be in the Middle East, whether it be Russia and Ukraine. So today we have so much instability. It's really understanding of what's next on the horizon. Is it another COVID strain? Excuse me. Is it supply chain issues? Is it a market meltdown? Is it a real estate catastrophe, you know, waiting to happen? There's so many problems that are going to be inherited. And I think it's kind of like, you know, a small match to some gasoline, and it's just going to create a much bigger storm than we've currently even begin to see. And I think this is why Warren Buffett's probably liquidated billions of dollars of assets, is he's looking down the horizon, seeing what's coming, and realizes the market's at a historical all-time high. Let's take the chips off the table, sit on the sidelines, wait for everything to unfold. And that's when, you know, as he says, when there's blood on the streets, that's when you go into the market. And I believe personally, that's what he's waiting for.
Warren Buffett is a smart dude, but I have one big bone to pick with him. He's sitting in US dollars, which I think is absolutely insane. And that's my personal thing, is like everything else about him and value investing and all this. I love it. I think it's fantastic. But him sitting in dollars with the de-dollarization, with Saudi Arabia stabbing us in the back, like that's something he hasn't taken into consideration enough, has he?
No, I think that's a super smart point, and actually wholeheartedly agree with you, because I would rather be sitting in assets like physical gold, you know, something you can hold on to, because just inflation alone is just eroding the purchasing power. Threats of central bank digital currencies, dollar tracing, Brics nations, you know, the dollar's dominance has obviously ended. And by doing so, I'd rather be in a hard tangible asset than a paper asset that I believe is losing value day after day.
Yeah, absolutely. How much did a Big Mac cost back in 2015? How much does a Big Mac cost today, right?
A lot more, I can tell you that much.
I mean, the Big Mac hasn't gotten any nicer. It's not higher quality. It's just the dollar has lost value.
It may be more sodium, more calories, possibly. Beef has even changed in them. They definitely tasted better when I was younger than they do today. But yeah, absolutely, everything's becoming more expensive, and I think that's very evident because people's paychecks aren't going up. And what I'm noticing is that people who are trying to retire maybe have to work a little bit longer, or maybe they've had to go back to work or take out a second job. And this is very disheartening, especially to the middle class and people who are going to be affected by, you know, market turbulence or unforeseen events that we personally feel is going to happen. Again, if you have those IRAs and 401ks, that's really what you should be focusing on right now to make sure you can at least safeguard it and get some diversification.
I see people moving their IRAs out of stocks and bonds into physical metals as the biggest thing that you can do to get more prepared for what's coming. That's my personal opinion, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about talking about Genesis Gold. I mean, hey, if you want to do it some other way, cool. But if you have an IRA, I'm a tax guy. I'm a tax accountant, right? I know the implications of you pulling your money out of your IRA to go buy canned goods. So I wish we could move our money out of stocks and bonds into canned goods, canned foods. But you can do it to gold, silver, platinum, precious metals, but not to something a little more practical. But I love how you guys made that. Oh, for the folks who haven't seen the prepper bars yet, these things are awesome because they're tradable. And that's a great addition there too. I'm still blown away that you guys actually went out and actually made this product. Oh, you got the gold one now, huh?
Yeah, pretty cool, huh? I really
Yeah,
love this. So,
I
this
can't afford that. So
yeah, this came about for one reason only, is listening to our clients. And over the years, clients have asked us, I have this brick of gold or brick of silver. How do I spend it? How do I use it? So by developing the Prepper Bar, we really kind of solved that problem for a lot of our investors and clients that either want to just hold metals at home or put metals into their IRA. Because as you can see here, and I know we've talked about it before, but it's made in America, the only fractional bar made in America, divisible into 3 sizes, and it's spendable, portable. I call it wealth in your wallet. And anytime you can take something innovative and pair it with like the legacy and track record of gold, I believe it's always a winner. So I'm very proud of that product, but I think it's just very unique, especially with what's happening in the world today. There's definitely a need for a product like this.
yeah, absolutely. I'm still super stoked about that. I feel like I'm with somebody famous who made a product like that. I made a product too, but it was a joke product, and I sold it on Amazon for a bit. But nothing quite the same. Not quite the same.
I did an interview this morning with people that write for like the Rob Report and the Gear magazine, and they were asking me questions about this, and they were asking me more about the manufacturing of it. So we work with a mint called the Sunshine Mint, and they were asking me, why did you pair with the Sunshine Mint? Because we work with a multitude of mints in America, but when you're looking at something with high quality engraving, purity testing, there was only one company and one mint for us to work with in terms of distribution, be able to get the right product out and making it breakable. You see, these people don't realize this, but there's these grooves on these, and it's as solid as it is pliable, and you can break it off. And just from an innovative and being able to manufacture something like this, believe it or not, that took 6 months just to be able to get it right. So, working with the correct United States mint is obviously a big factor in producing a product like that.
Yeah. So as people are trying to get prepared for what's coming, moving money into an moving your IRA or 401k or Canadian retirement plan over to physical metals, so that you can take the distributions directly out is a great move out there. But for those who are kind of looking at doing that, there's been some news articles that have come out in the last week. Actually, I've heard a number of folks kind of bring up the Oxford Gold Group, and just kind of there's some issues that have happened over there that are pretty eye-opening. And there's some not so great companies out there in the IRA community. Could you just share with us just like how, if someone's looking to get into the gold IRA, silver IRA, how can they tell the winners from the losers in the industry? Like, are there some things they should be looking for?
Yeah, that's a great question. And my heart goes out to those people that haven't been able to recuperate their money with Oxford Gold Group. I don't know who they are. There's no affiliation with us. And what they've done is absolutely awful. And it seems like every 4 or 5 years, I see this happening to gold companies. And that's a great question. And if you're going to roll over your IRA, there's something you want to make sure that you're asking and you're making sure that you see happen. And that's a deposit receipt. Because when you roll over an IRA, your metals are stored in the licensed depository. And we use licensed depositories that are backed by the major exchanges. But after 30 days, your metals have to be by law in your account. So once your metals transfer has happened, you want to get a deposit receipt from either the gold company or from the custodian that you're working with. And that is super important. And don't let, months turn into 2 or 3. After 30 days, immediately ask for your deposit receipt. And, I was doing some digging around on them. It seemed like they were a registered corporated company. I believe they were members at one point of the Better Business Bureau, but I was reading up on them and they had multiple complaints. You want to make sure that you can reach your gold dealer. You want to make sure that when you're rolling over your IRA, that when you get to pick products, that's exactly what you get to do. You get to pick the products. Don't have somebody sell you on why you need this product or that product. Sometimes people do need maybe a shoulder to lean on and say, well, how does this work? And you can get recommendations. But we always tell people, educate yourself and get the education first. If you're ever working with a gold company and they're high pressure sales tactics and they're trying to push you into something, that should be a red flag. And that's when alarm bells should go off. So just remember that. But again, deposit receipts, that should be the word of the day to make sure that you're in full effect of that. And again, I hate when I read these stories because, to be honest with you, Steve, it hurts the industry. It really does. And people need to be working with companies that are legitimate and obviously on the up and up. And, and we put ourselves on a pedestal and make sure we do things the right way and not the wrong way. And, we've helped countless of your clients, and it is a worry, and it's a worry to me, but deposit receipts is super important, folks. So if you're listening to this and you're working with another gold company and you have an IRA, make sure you have that deposit receipts, because once you have that, the gold is in the vault. And we actually find 95% of the time that our clients who take distributions, Steve, they don't take distributions then into the cash form. They actually want the metals into their hands. So it's a good segue of deposit receipt. And then if you want the metals, you can then have it sent to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other cool things too that I think people in this audience don't fully realize too is that they actually have like another layer of advocacy. Every so often, someone has reached out to me with a question or something like that, and then I've been able to kind of bring that directly to you guys too, almost kind of like a little bit of an advocate for them, that if they're not getting, every single one of those things, little items that came up, you guys just jumped on and I followed up with all of them. I was just like, hey, did they kind of answer your question, or did they take care of you? And every single time they gotten back to me and said, yeah, they did fantastic. That they did a great job. So that's cool too. I know you waive the setup fee for folks on this channel. And that's a big deal. And then also just kind of having an extra touch point there. I know has been a peace of mind thing for a lot of folks too. So yeah, it's I've only heard good things from you about you and about your company, and I'm looking forward to actually coming out there and visiting you guys in person. I know you guys want to do some better communication too about just kind of who you guys are, and we're hoping to have some other folks from your company on here to share some of their expertise. You told me just today that there is someone or a couple people that I can talk to about my silver conspiracies. So I'm looking forward to that too. But thanks for sharing what's going on over in the UK. Any parting thoughts, any other thoughts that you have about that, or any other topic that you've seen come up recently that our audience should be aware of?
No, your audience is very well versed in the markets. I know that when we speak to people in our company, and I'd love for you to come out here and do a little tour, live tour if we can, around the office and see the different departments and the IRA departments, the customer service, and see obviously the checks and balances, and just see how people kind of move along and how the whole process works. I think anytime you can have more transparency, that's super important. And really getting an education, that's kind of the key here. It's always been the key. Understanding why you need gold, understanding how it works, what are the fees, what are the costs associated with, and making sure everything is transparent just for the client. So when they decide to move forward, it's their decision and they're not being pressured. So I think that's also a good point to make.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much. For folks out there, if you want to find out more, if you want to ask Jonathan or his team some questions about what you can do with your IRA, 401k, there's a link down below, Poplar Gold, that fills out a form that you can then that they'll get in contact with you, or if you want to call them directly, I'll put the phone number down below. Make sure you mention this channel so you get the fee waived. But and if you don't have a retirement account or whatever, and you just want to buy some of these prepper bars yourself, there's a link down below for Poplar bar, and that link will show you the price, and you have to buy some extras, and that brings the price down even further. Make sure you use the promo code to take, I think it's 10% off too. So we'll put that down there too. But Jonathan, thanks for joining with us, and always a pleasure. And thanks for getting us some inside scoop on what's going on in the UK. And we'll hopefully get more people set up on being prepared. Folks, canned food, get your canned food, get your brass and lead. But then after that, we should be looking at some precious metals if you have more resources and more wealth that you need to protect. But I'll let you have the last word here, Jonathan. Anything else?
No, I appreciate you bringing me on, and hopefully everyone stays safe out there, because it's a crazy time we live in, and we're going into this pivotal election year, and I think there's going to be more chaos surrounding leading up to the election. So I think everyone needs to be extra vigilant, and just stay tuned to your channel and keep up to date with the breaking news. I know I am. And again, I appreciate you bringing me on today to kind of share my views, talk a little bit about London burning, and obviously protecting yourself with physical, tangible assets.
All right. Awesome. Folks, if you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up there. If you want to get more information from Genesis Gold, I'll put the link right up there on the screen, so you can just click on that. Otherwise, I will see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.